Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope Savara here with the Driven to Be Healthy challenge. I hope everyone is doing fantastic. Sorry, there's kind of a glare on my glasses. Let's see if we can fix that. Sorry I'm a little late because I was collecting items. And then my son woke up and wanted breakfast. So had to deal with that. But I'm happy to be here this morning. This week we are talking about nutrition, getting those fruits and veggies in, and we had a lot of requests about reading food labels. If you're tuning in this morning, drop it in the comment section. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching the live, type the word live. If you're watching the replay, type the word replay. I'm going to kind of shift myself here a little bit because my light is glaring in my glasses. There we go. Let's see if that can help. Might not be perfect, but we're going to make it work. All right, good morning. So we had a lot of requests for reading food labels and what is like the nutrition we should be focusing on. And I just want to say, again, we are not diet specific. I by no means am endorsing any specific diet. That is absolutely up to you. There are a lot of choices out there. Please do your research and homework. The media does a great job of picking what to focus on for this year or the next couple of years. And that being said, I want to focus on the facts. I want to focus on the specifics. I want to educate you so that you can go out and make whatever decision you want when it comes to the foods that you're choosing, the diet that you're choosing, but you can't do that if you don't know what you're looking at. You can't do that if you're not understanding what's the most important. You can't do that if you don't know what's in your food. And so that's the things that I want to focus on today. I want to start out by reminding everybody that our bodies are intelligently designed. So when you were born, you didn't say to your mom, "Hey mom, these are the specific things in my body that I want to focus on, that I want my body to run on. And these things over here, I don't think I need." No. The body has exactly the certain amount of nutrition from minerals and vitamins and fats and proteins and carbohydrates. It has a specific amount of every single one to feed every single cell and the mitochondria inside the cell. It is scientifically designed. And the cool thing about that is that it knows exactly how much it needs, it being your body and it being the cells inside your body. And so that being said, when we are eating foods, I had to collect stuff the last couple days. When we are eating bugles, when we are eating that's not pistachios, when we're eating cashews, when we're making macaroni and cheese, when we decide to make wild rice, when we choose Jif peanut butter, when we eat almond butter, when we drink a kombucha or a soda, when we eat an apple. See, I got a lot of stuff here, you guys. When we eat spinach or arugula or lettuce or grab a granola bar, all of these things either have nutrition or nutrients for our body, nutrients being vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, enzymes, probiotics, prebiotics, you name it. We can go on and on and on and on. Either it has those things for our body or it's a chemical shitstorm that is tricking our body into thinking that it has what we need. Pardon my French. So, when we want to fuel our body, we have to remember three very important things. Our body is not a science experiment. Our body was not made in a lab. Our body has been perfectly designed. And so we need a certain amount of nutrition. Again, please think now, nutrition is not just fats, carbs, and proteins. Nutrition is fats, carbs, and proteins, minerals, which our soils and all of our foods are so depleted in. Total little cul-de-sac here. Think about, so my parents, when I was younger, and my grandparents would wood burn and then throw ash back in the garden. There's a reason why they did that, because wood ash has a lot of minerals for the soil that it needs to replenish the plant. We don't do that anymore. So our body not only needs fats, carbohydrates, and proteins, okay, which is usually we're only looking at this little part here, and then we're like, yay, it's good for me, or yay, it's not good for me. But we have to ask ourselves, and that's a lot of times not on the label, is does it have minerals? Is it a food that provides me with minerals? That's probably a better question. And what type of nutrients beyond the fats, carbohydrates, and proteins that we're also obsessed with, well, some of us, does it also have some type of vitamin content that it's feeding us? Okay? When we look at that, we are feeding our bodies what we need to run optimally. Did you know our body needs sulfur? Did you know our body needs vitamin K? Did you know our body needs, we could go on and on and on, iodine. Like, how are you getting your iodine? I mean, we want to look at how our body can run at the best of its ability. We have to stop just looking at the top 3 things. Okay, you're doing yourself a disservice. Yes, that's important. Yes, those things are essential for your cells. And we're going to talk about some of those. But it is even more important, in my opinion, and the tribe that I run with, which are in the holistic health world, Karen Urbanek, Jeff Essen, a bunch of different doctors, and holistic nutritionists, nurses, all of that. Becky Bergmeyer, I'm trying to think of a couple other ones. Anywho, we need to look at how we're feeding our bodies. Okay, so why do we need fats, carbohydrates, and proteins? Because that is what our cells are made up on. There ain't nobody that came up to the human body and said, hey, human body, the next time a man and a woman make a baby, I'm going to trick your cells into thinking that they don't need carbs. I'm going to inject you with something and the other billion people on the planet so that you think your cells don't need something. And now I'm being sarcastic, so please. My point is, everyone's cells on the face of the planet need those 3 ingredients: fats or lipids, proteins, and carbohydrates. Now, the ratio of those is a whole nother category. But our mitochondria inside the cells, please listen carefully. Guess what it likes to eat to create energy? Carbohydrates. I know. And those carbohydrates, because there's good and bad carbohydrates, those carbohydrates provide essential nutrients for the mitochondria inside the cell to do what it's supposed to do. That carbohydrate is what helps the cell reproduce, stay healthy, keep doing what it's supposed to be doing. And if our body was designed to use other things to do that, it would have been designed that way. Now, that being said, fats and proteins play a very important role in the body. We need those things to build muscle, to build brain function. There's a lot of research that Alzheimer's and dementia is actually lack of healthy fat in the body that the brain is lacking. Here's a fun little fact for you to go down a rabbit hole. So think the generation that we're in right now, the generation older than us that has Alzheimer's and dementia. Think back to when they were in their adult life, like their midlife. What was the fad diet? No fat. No fat. And now think about the replications of that. Just saying. I'm not a scientist. I'm not trying to whatever, but I'm just saying. We need equal portions. We need healthy amounts of everything in order to fuel our body. We can only trick our body so long into thinking it does or doesn't need something, into eating these and soda and sugar and candy bars and cookies and an energy bar, like all this stuff, we can only trick our body in so long into thinking that it doesn't need other nutrition, okay? So I want you to take inventory of yourself right now. I want you to take a time out. Don't just stop on the highway. That would be crazy. But take a time out for a moment and ask yourself, am I living optimally? Do I have optimal energy? Do I feel like I have optimal function, brain function, muscle function, digestive function, heart function, you name it. I can go on and on. Lymphatic function, endocrine system function, hormonal function. Do I feel like those are optimal? Be honest. You don't have to type it in the chat, but just think about it. If the answer is no, we're lacking something. We're missing something. Why skate by? I mean, most of my life, I had an eating disorder. I was the master at not eating food and counting calories and eating lettuce as a meal and doing all these things. And I deprived my body for so long. I'm 36 years old and I'm still reaping the repercussions of that. I have digestive issues. I have all different things that I'm still dealing with because I deprived my body so long of things that it needed. So we do the same thing when we eat empty calories, when we don't understand what we're putting in our bodies. So when you read this label, okay, I'm not going to go into main detail, but I'm just going to focus on a couple of things that I feel like are important. You can go a super detail into these. Some of you have listened to other people that have broke these down for the course of 3 days, and that's totally fine. More power to you. I want to keep this KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay. So when you're looking at this label, all right, we'll say that this is the top. Okay. We want to look at what the serving size is. So 2 tablespoons. How many servings does that have? Is 160. Am I reading upside down? Oh, 90. I'm trying to read upside down and backwards, guys, here. 190 calories. Okay, so understanding serving size. This is not 1 serving size. This is 7 serving sizes. This is not 1 serving size. This is 3 serving sizes. So portion control is a big part in nutrition. So how much am I taking in? Because our body also can only process so much at once. So much fat, so much carbohydrates. It can only take in so much even vitamin and mineral content at first and absorb so much of it at so much, and then it has to excrete the rest. So I went to a class a while back, and it was on protein, and it was talking about the different types of protein and how when bodybuilders are taking in 70, 80, 90 grams of protein, depending on what kind of source it comes from, our body can actually only digest a very small amount. I can't remember the grams. Forgive me, I'll look for it if you really want to know. Only a certain amount of protein at a time. So here we are gobbling up all this protein, and our body can actually only take in so much. And all that protein, high protein, is really hard on our kidneys. Really hard. So when we overdo one thing and it's out of balance, another thing is going to have to suffer. Another thing is going to have to do extra. Even though we don't feel it now, it's happening. Our body does a great job of going into overdrive to make things work. Muscles do the same thing. Okay, so when we're reading this label, and the first thing we're looking at is fat, and then they have it broken down into saturated and trans fats. We just want to be really mindful of the saturated and trans fats. Those are fats that our body doesn't really like. Those are fats that usually have negative repercussions, so we want to minimize those as much as possible. Fat is not a bad thing, but you have to ask yourself where the fat is coming from. Okay, what is the source of the food that I'm eating? Okay. Second thing we're looking at is cholesterol, and then sodium, and then carbohydrates. So carbohydrates will actually help when we eat a healthy carbohydrate. It actually helps regulate cholesterol, so that's a good thing. Carbohydrates also, again, real carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, or processed carbohydrates, okay? So if I have an apple, there's carbs in there. Stop calling them carbs. When we hear the word carbs, it sounds bad. Unfortunately, that's what's happened. But there are good carbohydrates in here. And inside that carbohydrate category, when you eat an apple, is fiber, okay? And yes, sugar, because guess what? Our body needs a certain amount of sugar in order to function. But there is refined and processed sugar, and there is healthy sugar. So where are you getting your sugar from? The fiber, that stringy stuff in celery, the fiber in an apple is actually helping build your digestive system. It's actually enzymes. It's things to help break down the food in your gut. It's going to help lower your cholesterol. Yes, you need fiber. And you also need sugars in your diet. Again, having sugar. I actually didn't bring anything like super sugary down here. So, actually one of them. When you eat something that has sugar in it, that's processed sugar, your body is not using it the same. It's not positive as it would be, let's say, sugar from an apple. Okay, so we want to look at that. We want to watch that. We want to pay attention to that. Okay, so does your food have fiber in it? Most processed foods do not have fiber. Okay. So most of the stuff that you're buying that is not natural, did not come from the earth, is low in fiber, okay? And it usually has refined sugars, a lot of sugar. And it's not the type of carbohydrates that we want. So carbs like sweet potatoes, lentil beans, apples, wild rice, those are all good carbs. Those are all good carbs. The question that we want to think about is what makes a carb good for our body? And our bodies are built to run off carbohydrates, like I said. And grouping carbs together, like music, all 70s music, or clothing fads, is a mistake because there's good carbs and there's bad carbs. So in its natural form, carbohydrates are good for us, okay? It's when we start eating all of them, only them, all the time, and when all we eat is processed forms, okay? So balance, my friends, balance. When we talk about bread, the idea of bread, if you're going to eat bread, okay, look at the back. It's all processed. It's all refined. And then they have to add nutrition back in. Whenever I see, we're going to talk about that, whenever I see part of the label that's showing you how you have to add stuff back in, that's my first red flag, that it's junk food, okay, junk food. We want to look at breads like Ezekiel bread or sprouted breads or sourdough. Those are going to have some of the enzymes and a lot more of the nutrition that carbohydrate category can offer your body and actually absorb. So sometimes we're eating to eat and we're not eating to fuel. So we want to make sure that we aren't scared of those things, that we aren't scared of things like apples and lentils and sweet potatoes and wild rice because they're not bad for you. Anything in high doses is bad for you. It's like you can actually eat too much asparagus all at once and that's all you eat. You'll have arsenic poisoning. So anything can be bad. So we just want to reframe our minds on how we think about that. So carbs in their natural form contain enzymes and nutrients and natural chemicals that actually help us break it down. So when we eat the natural form, our body is designed to help us break it down. So I just want you to be scared of those things. Okay. And then obviously protein. So how much protein are you getting? My suggestion, long story short, is try to not eat 70 grams of protein all in one sitting because your body actually can't digest that and process that, and it's like all for nothing. So try to break it up a little bit and let your body take that in. Okay, this is where I really want to talk about. Underneath this is the vitamin amounts, okay? Some foods don't have that at all. Look at how much this has for vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, vitamin E, niacin, which is a form of vitamin B. So lots of those labels will be lacking those things. It is not just about this stuff up here, you guys. It is also about the minerals and the vitamins that you're taking in. Newsflash, your body doesn't just run on fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. Your cells, your mitochondria need that, but we also have a lot of other organs in our body that need these other things. And if you remember from a previous video, I said your body can't absorb vitamins without minerals, and our soils are lacking them. So we a lot of times have to get them from other places. I know a lot of you bought the trace minerals, which is great. You are one step ahead. Okay, so last thing here is we want to look at the ingredients. So if I get my bugles and we look at, this is actually, believe it or not, where I look first whenever I buy food, is I don't look up here right away. I actually look at what the ingredients say. So this is degermed yellow cornmeal, coconut oil, palm oil, sugar, salt, baking soda, and may contain milk and wheat. Okay, so not a horrible list of ingredients, but I'm gonna get out this guy here. Macaroni. Enriched macaroni product, wheat flour, niacin, sulfate, can't read that word, folic acid, which is probably, you know, artificial folic acid, enriched wheat flour, reduced iron, monocitrate, maltodextrin, now we're getting into words I don't know, paprika extract, which is probably even maybe artificial, soybean oil, reduced dusting, silicone dioxide, sodium phosphate, on and on and on and on. So not horrible, but there's some pretty nasty stuff in there. Okay, we want to look at, when we're looking at the ingredients level, we want to look at the first three. They should be in natural form. They should not say enriched. They should not say extracted. It should not be sugar, okay? First three ingredients. If you can't read them, if it includes sugar, or it's broken down to mean something else, it's probably not good, okay? And then if it has 12 different ingredients, you know it's been altered multiple times to be able to become what it is. So noodles often do that. There's a lot of different noodles out there now that you can do. This was just like the most generic that I could find. So look at what is the ingredient that is feeding the nutrition that you're getting. Where is that coming from? Is it in its most natural form? So, most natural form, ingredients list, baby organic spinach and organic baby arugula. That's it. But look at this. Okay, yes, those all look fine, but that is some awesome ingredients as far as what we're getting for vitamins. There's iron in this. There's vitamin K. There is, wow, 350% of vitamin K. Vitamin A, 420 milligrams. Calcium in it, potassium, vitamin C, folate. Like, this is what we want to be looking at. We're actually getting what we need. This is great up here. This is essential down here. So are you getting those things? We need to look at. We want to look at the ingredients list. If I had to choose this over this, I would choose this. You want to know why? Because it has fiber, and the fiber helps break down the sugar. This is not going to have as much fiber, 1 gram. This is going to have like 20. Like, it's just so much better. Comparison. So not all foods are created equal. Not all foods are created equal. So I know that that was a lot of information, and I just tried to kind of briefly cover some of those things. But those are just a few of the highlights that I like looking at. Another one would obviously, you know, for fiber would be fiber helps regulate your pooping, your stool. If you're not getting enough fiber, which is usually foods not in natural forms, you're going to have some digestive issues. So it just goes on and on and on and on. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you grabbed a couple little nuggets. How I try to listen to everything that teaches. You know, I try to listen to a lot of different things. I always ask myself, did I learn something? Did I get one thing that I can take away? Just one, at least one, and go, that's great. I learned something and I'm going to use that in my life. We tend to focus on the negative. That's bad. That didn't work. I didn't like that. We have to choose to find the good. So even in food, when you walk into a truck stop, I know not every truck stop has ideal opportunities. They just don't. It's not a grocery store. And I know that a lot of the places to eat don't have a lot of good options. They just don't. They're fast food. But is there something that I can do to make it work? Is there something that I can do to try to do better for my body? Look at the label. Don't just read the top 3. Look at the vitamins and minerals. Look at the ingredients and ask yourself, is this good, better, or best? Is this good for my body? Is there something better? Is this the best? We may not always be able to get the best, but we can get good and we can get okay even. And so just try to do better every single day and encourage yourself to get some of those healthy foods in, because your body, even though it might not show you now, needs it. Your body needs all of that nutrition, and it's up to us to feed that. All right, guys, I hope that this was helpful. If there's anything else that you want to learn more about or know more about, please let me know, and I would be very excited to talk more about it. I know Julie would be as well. I want to show you one last thing here. I don't do dairy because my body doesn't like dairy, and so I drink almond milk. And when I go to the store to get almond milk, and this could be on anything, it's really, really, really hard to find almond milk that doesn't have sugar in it. And you know how I know almond milk shouldn't have sugar in it? Because almonds don't have sugar in it. And so this is like the only brand that I can find that doesn't have added sugar, that the ingredients is just almond milk and sea salt. That's it. And so then on my nutrition panel, there's 0 sugars. Look at the things that you're also drinking. Look at milk. Milk has a crap load of sugar in it. And so we want to make sure that we're getting a little bit of everything in the right amounts and in the right forms. Don't be afraid of food. Don't be afraid of sugar. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates. Don't be afraid of fats or proteins. But it's in the right amounts and it's in moderation, and remembering that our cells need them all in order to work optimally. All right, my friends, I will see you again really soon. Have a fantastic day. Get your water in, get your movement in, get your fruits and veggies in, get your sleep in, and get off your electronics tonight, because we want you to feel better wherever you are. Bye, my friends.